Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Cyrano, and this is a new musical drama that is from director Joe Wright, and is an adaptation of Cyrano de Bergerac. And, in this version of the story, instead of having a large schnoz, you have Cyrano being a little person played by Peter Dinklage. And this film starts off with I think, a pretty great opening sequence of Roxanne going off in the carriage with her potential betrothed, who's played by Mendelsohn, having a really good musical number, and then showing up to the theater and watching this show, which keeps getting interrupted by Cyrano. And he is smug, but he's charming and good with words, and he comes to blows with a scummy, scummy human, and things get a little violent and a little deadly, and that kind of sets the tone for this movie. And you have Joe Wright, who is the one who's directing this film, and Joe Wright has made some excellent films, and also made some misfires, including The Woman in the Window most recently, but he also has The Darkest Hour. He has a good track record in terms of Atonement, Pride and Prejudice, and this was a very interesting turn with this film. Pan didn't work out so well, but taking his attempts at this particular musical, I feel like everything's well staged, from the action, which is surprisingly well shot, to all the choreography and the dance numbers, and specifically what they put on screen during the musical numbers, and the one you see in the trailer of the soldiers going back and forth with their swords in that very specific rhythm. And there's a lot of visual cues in this film that really pull things together, and you have a very textured, very specific kind of cinematography from Seamus McGarvey, who previously has done films like Atonement, Nocturnal Animals, Anna Karenina, and really is able to bring a lot of texture to the look of this film. And it's very old-fashioned. This feels like an old-school kind of musical, an old-school kind of story. And, it has the right bit of melodrama. It's a little cheesy, it's a little too old-fashioned, but it's going for that feel and nails it. And for the most part, I thought it came off pretty charming. There are frustrating parts in terms of what some of these characters do, and frustrating how, I feel like the third act of this movie gets a little too frustrating, and just come on. And there's definitely some illogical moments, how doesn't Roxanne know that's Cyrano singing to her and not Christian? There's just certain moments that you really have to suspend your disbelief to really comprehend. But the costumes, the makeup, the production design are all incredibly top-notch. It makes sense why this got a costume nomination at the Oscars for this year. The musical numbers, I love the music in this. I really do. And I got, every time a new musical number came on, it really piqued my interest, really pulled me into the film. And you have Peter Dinklage, who's Cyrano, who's snarky but charming, and has this, like I said, the way with words. And at the beginning, he might be a little too much of a jerk, but you feel it. And Peter Dinklage does such a great job acting. You feel the love that he has for Roxanne, that he's trying to hide, and trying to find the best way to confront those feelings with her. And, his singing, I think, does a fine job with his singing in the context of the film. If you just listen to it, I don't think you're going to be oh, Peter Dinklage is the greatest singer. But, it really works within the film. But you do have Haley Bennett and Kelvin Harrison Jr., who are much stronger vocalists, and whenever they sing, it's really fantastic. Honestly, Haley Bennett gives a fantastic performance as Roxanne. I really enjoyed her. I thought she was thoroughly entertaining throughout. And Harrison does a really fine job as well. And then you have the likes of Ben Mendelsohn, who gets a great villain song, and he just does it so menacingly. And you know, this film has been mixed tones because, like, there's moments towards the like the first act of the film where there's like straight up murder and attempted murder, and then it gets all like war movie in the third act, and I'm just like, it's an odd mix, especially with the whimsical kind of feel to how like the musical numbers go in the film. But this movie is really charming, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with this film, and honestly, I hope everybody goes out and checks it out and shows it some love when it eventually makes its way around, because February 25th is just like LA and New York. So hopefully it doesn't take too long to get its wide release everywhere. But those are my thoughts on Cyrano. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.